Okay. Exercise 2 is on fractions. So today you're going to have fractions, but here's the deal. You can do all the fractions on your calculator. If you don't have a good fraction key, make sure you're grabbing one of the a good fraction calculator. Grab one of these because the TI 30 Smart View or TI 30 Multi View is a great calculator to use. Okay, here it is. A couple things terminology wise that we need to know, however. Okay, here it is. Make sure you're writing this down. Fraction vocabulary. So hopefully everyone knows that the numerator is the top number of a fraction. So in this example, when we have 2/3, 2 is called the numerator. The denominator is the bottom number in a fraction. So when we see the number 2/3, the 3 is the denominator. An improper fraction is a fraction in which the numerator is larger than the denominator. So when we get a fraction like 19/3, we know it's improper because 19 is larger than 3, which means that there are some whole numbers that could be brought out front. And we could write it as a mixed number. So all improper fractions can be written as a mixed number. So when we see 19/3, it really is the same thing as 6 1/3 because we have 6 whole parts and a remainder of 1. So 6 1/3 would be the mixed number for that same number. Okay, converting mixed number to improper fractions. So we're going to convert each mixed number given here to an improper fraction. Here's 2 of them. I'll show you how to do them by hand, and then I'll show you on the calculator that I have up here. And again, I wish I could have installed the TI 34 or 30. I tried to do that, but hopefully for future lessons I'll have it installed. Give you a chance to write that down so you're ready. All right, let's take this first one here, 2 3/8. If we want to write this as an improper fraction, we take 8 times 2, which is 16, and add 3. 16 plus 3 is 19/8. Again, we did that by taking 8 times 2 and adding the numerator to get the new numerator. The denominator stays the same. So here, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16/3. Yep. The denominator stays the same. Questions on that particular problem? Hopefully everyone knows how to do that. Probably did it for the first time, maybe 5th, 6th grade, somewhere in there. Converting improper fractions to mixed numbers. So we're going to convert these now. Okay, here's what we have to do when we're converting an improper to a mixed. You take the numerator divided by the denominator. How many times does 3 go into 23? And that would be 7, because 7 times 3 is 21. When you subtract, you have a remainder of 2, and you simply write the remainder over the divisor. 7 2/3. We'll do the same thing here for the second example. 29 divided by 6. Can somebody tell me how many times does 6 go into 29? 4. Because 6 times 4 is 24. Remainder of 5. So write the remainder over the divisor. 4 5 6. Does everybody have that page down? Move on to the next page. Okay. Simplify fractions to lowest term. So we're going to simplify these down. Give me a second to write them down. When you're simplifying fractions, what you want to try to do is find what is the largest common multiple that they have. In other words, between 24 and 36, you may say, well, I could reduce them both by 2. And that's true. But if you look carefully, you say, I could reduce them both by 4, which is true. You could reduce them both by 3. What is the largest common multiple? What can we divide both of these by easiest? What's the largest number that we can divide them by evenly? Okay, 6 would work. There's even one larger. 12, right? We can divide both of them by 12. So 24 divided by 12 is 2, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. Now, if you saw 6 first, that's fine. And you reduced by 6, you'd say 24 divided by 6 is 4, and 36 divided by 6 is 6. And then when you look at this, you go, oh, I can reduce it again. And so I'll divide by 2 to get the 2 and divide the 6 by 2 to get the 3. It's okay to reduce it more than one time. Just make sure it's completely reduced when you're done. Okay? What about this one here? Probably would start, if you want, divide them both by 2. You know they're both even. There's 21 over 8. And there isn't anything else that this can be reduced by. However, we could make it into a mixed number. 21 divided by 8 is going to go twice with the remainder of 5. So we could write it like this, or we could write 2 and 5/8. You got it? Everybody good? Any questions on that? If we're going to do it on the calculator, common denominators. Go ahead and just write that down. Common denominator is a number that is a multiple of the denominators of 2 or more fractions. In order to add or subtract fractions, you must have the fractions written with common denominators. We cannot add or subtract fractions unless we have common denominators. You do not need common denominators to multiply or divide fractions. We can just go ahead and multiply and divide. Okay, so here we go, adding some fractions. Each pair of fractions and or mixed numbers, we want to add these two different examples. The first example here should be pretty straightforward. 2/9 plus 5/9. We already have common denominators, so when the denominators are the same, we're in good shape. That is the denominator. And then we want to add the numerators. 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay, that's it. I'll show you how to do it on the calculator here in just a minute. Okay. When we're doing a mixed number, there are lots of people who will tell you to convert this to an improper fraction before you add. I don't like that. I don't think there's any reason why you should have to do that. Just take the fractional part. If we want to find a common denominator, the lowest common denominator between 5 and 4 is 20. So I need to multiply this fractional part by 4 over 4, and I need to multiply this fractional part by 5 over 5. If I do that, 2 times 4 is 8 over 20. Here I get 15 over 20. And now we can add the fractional portions. Yeah, this is 3. That's fine. Here we have, if I had a 2 in front of this, I would add the whole number parts. But I don't have a whole number here, so I add the fractions. 8 and 15 is 23, and that's over 20. And then I think you should be able to convert from here. 20 parts make up a whole. I have 23 parts in the numerator. So I can add 1 to a whole number if I take 20 parts out of this 23. So I'm going to add 1 to the whole number part to get a 4, and I'm going to subtract 20 from the numerator to get 4 and 3/20. That's how you do it by hand. The nice part about it, if you've struggled with adding fractions in this class, you can use the calculator every single time. So let's stop. We'll walk through the subtracting fractions. Here we go. Take a look at these two. Subtract each pair of fractions and or mixed numbers. So we're going to have 7/9 minus 1/3. And we have 4, and we're going to subtract 2 1/5. We'll do them by hand, and then I'll show you how to do them on your calculator. So on this assignment, you really don't have to show any work. You don't have to write down what you're plugging in on this, because if you're using the calculators that we have in class to do all these, to add these fractions, that's fine. I want you to use your calculator. You can use it on the ACT test. Hopefully you know how to do it without, but at the same time, don't miss a problem because you struggle with fractions. Use your calculator. On this first one here, we need to get a common denominator of 9. So we're going to multiply the second fraction here by 3/3. We always multiply it by a number over itself because it's the same thing as multiplying by 1. So it's algebraically legal. It's mathematically legal. We multiply by 1, you're really not changing it. You're just changing the form of how it looks. This is 7/9 minus 3/9. Now that we have common denominators, we subtract, get 4, leave the denominator the same, 4/9. Questions on that one? Okay, make sure you get that work down. When you are taking a whole number and subtracting a fraction, again, there's some people who say, convert this to a mixed or to an improper fraction, then find the common denominator. I don't think you should have to do that. 4, I can take 1 away from the whole unit, make it a 3, and then just make it 5/5. That means the same thing as 4, right? 5/5 is 1. 1 and 3 is 4. I'm just writing this number differently. Here's 2 1/5. Subtract the whole number parts. 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. The denominator is 5. There it is, 1 4/5. Questions on that particular problem? Everybody have it? Let's take a look on the calculator. Okay. Multiplying fractions, we're going to multiply each pair of fractions here. We get 2/3 times 3/5, and then we're going to get 2 2/3 times 5/6. All right, 2/3 times 3/5. If it were me, I would reduce the 3 and the 3 and making it a 1 and a 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. If you want, you can multiply 6/15 and then reduce. Divide the top by 3 and get 2. Divide the bottom by 3 and get 5. Okay? However, when we are doing a mixed number times a fraction, you must convert it to an improper fraction first. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8/3, times 5/6. So you must convert mixed numbers to improper fractions to multiply and then convert back. You could reduce here first if you wanted. You can reduce this by 2 to get a 3. Reduce this by 2 to get a 4. And that helps a little bit because 4 times 5 is 20 and 3 times 3 is 9. Maybe the answer will be left as an improper fraction. But if it's not, then we have to say 20 or 9 goes into 20 twice, with the remainder of 2. So we get 2 and 2/9. That's how we do that one by hand. But you don't have to do it by hand. You can use the calculator. Okay? I think I've shown you on the calculator enough. If you go 1/3 divided by 5/6, same thing. Let's go to the last slide. 11 here. Pick the largest number from each group. When you do these problems, you definitely want to use your calculator the best that you can. Take a look at what the values are. If you take 2 divided by 5, you're going to get 0.4. If you take 3 divided by 8, you're going to get 0.375. 0.4 is larger than 0.375. We know this is 0.333. Therefore, 2/5 has to be the largest number. We can do the same thing here. You might be able to look at it and see, well, if I've only got 3 out of 13 parts, and here's 4 out of 13 parts, I'd rather have 4 out of 13. It's got to be larger than this one. Okay? So this is, you can do the same thing and just kind of compare to see. But if you want, use your calculator and check them all out. 1 divided by 6 in your calculator is 0.166. 2 divided by 11 is 0.181. 4 divided by 13 is going to be the largest decimal, which is 0.307. So 4/13 will be the largest. Okay? Here's the assignment. Make sure you get it written down. This will be due tomorrow.